Tonight, nearly a dozen accused violent gang members are now off Minneapolis streets. They face a series of charges tied to 7 shootings with 10 victims.
And federal prosecutors say they're part of a gang that has terrorized North Minneapolis for about 20 years.
The existence of the Lowe's gang constitutes a threat to the sanctity of human life.
And that's why U.S. Attorney Andrew Luger says his office worked to take down 11 of them. These people face charges for a variety of crimes ranging from murder to drug and gun trafficking. Prosecutors say their crimes spanned from 2021 until earlier this year and included shooting and killing rival gang members. But investigators say they also took aim at innocent bystanders.
Between 2021 and 2024, North Minneapolis was shaken by a wave of bloodshed. Gunfire ripped through gas stations, food trucks, and neighborhood parties. Some of the victims were rival gang members. Others were innocent people who just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. At the center of it all was a violent street crew known as the Lowe's. Federal prosecutors say this group turned entire blocks into battlegrounds, leaving 10 people dead and many more wounded in just a few years. For the community,
they look old as hell, boy. They all look old as hell. They look like they 25 and plus. Especially this nigga right here. This nigga look old as shit, like he about 35, yeah. These niggas is old, bro.
It felt like living in a war zone. For investigators, it became the foundation of one of the largest gang RICO cases Minnesota has ever seen. This is the story of the Lowe's. But before we get into the video, please be sure to like and subscribe. The Lowe's are a North Minneapolis street gang active since at least 2004. They control territory south of West Broadway Avenue, one of the city's central dividing lines. Their primary rival is the Highs, who operate north of Broadway. This multi-decade-long beef started in 2004 following the murder of a Lowe's gang member named Christopher Little. Since then, there have been countless tit-for-tat shootings. The Lowe's are more than just a crew of shooters. Federal prosecutors call them an enterprise, a criminal organization that trafficked drugs and firearms, did carjackings, and enforced loyalty through intimidation and murder. Within the Lowe's are smaller cliques like the Skit Squad, who carried out much of the ground-level violence. Together, they created an identity based on fear, retaliation, and control over their turf. In just a 3-year span, they killed 10 people in cold blood in order to maintain control of the Minneapolis streets.
Damn. That's for George Z.
On May 6, 2021, a 19-year-old man named George Zion was pumping gas at the Amstar gas station on West Broadway when a car pulled up and 2 individuals hopped out. The 2 men walked into the store, then came out and made a beeline towards George. Once they were face to face with George, they started pressing him and asking him about his gang affiliation. That's when things would turn sour. According to a federal indictment, a Lowe's member that was 17 at the time, named Albert Lucas, pulled out a gun and shot George multiple times. George's girlfriend was right there with him at the time of this incident, so after shooting George, Albert and his associate started shooting at the girlfriend. Thankfully, she was not hit by any of the gunfire. Albert and his associate then fled the scene. George was rushed to North Memorial Hospital and sadly passed away from his injuries hours later. This was only the beginning of a string of murders for the Lowe's.
Bro, these names are funny as shit.
On April 27, 2022, a man named Elo Lomax was sitting in a car in the 3300 block of Knox Avenue North when a dark-colored sedan pulled up and someone inside the sedan fired multiple shots into Elo's car. Officers arrived shortly afterwards and pronounced Elo dead on the scene. Elo was allegedly an associate of a subset of the Highs called K-Block. Prosecutors believe that this is why he was allegedly killed by members of a Lowe's subset called the Dunna Boys. The Lowe's would follow this incident with a heinous double homicide less than 1 month later. On May 14, 2022, 2 men named Kayvon Williams and Makonda Robinson were near a food truck on the corner of West Broadway and Bryant Avenue when gunmen pulled up and started shooting in their direction. Both of them were hit and the shooter fled the scene. Both of them would sadly pass away from their injuries, with Kayvon being pronounced dead at just the age of 21 and Makonda being pronounced dead at just the age of 51. A Lowe's member named Glenn Carter would eventually get charged with this double murder. He allegedly targeted Kayvon because he was allegedly a member of the Highs gang subset K Block. Makonda was an innocent bystander caught in the crossfire. In truly horrific fashion, the Lowe's would commit another double homicide just 5 days later.
Boy, them niggas tripping out there, boy. What the hell?
On May 19, 2022, a man named Damon Rhodes and a woman named Aranezia Clark were riding in a blue sedan near 36th Avenue and Crystal Lake at a traffic light when another vehicle pulled up beside them and someone inside fired at least 15 rounds into their car. The suspects then fled the scene, and police would later find the suspect's vehicle abandoned in North Minneapolis. Damon was pronounced dead at just 28 years old.
I just keep, if y'all keep seeing me, y'all don't pay no mind. I just woke up.
And Aranezia was pronounced dead at just 24 years old. Members of the Lowe's would eventually be charged with these murders, and this incident was listed in the federal indictment. Sadly, the senseless killing wouldn't stop there. On April 27th,
like they 30 years and up, bro. Like, what the hell, bro? Like,
2023, a man named Isaiah Lee was sitting in a parked car at the intersection of North 21st and Bryant Avenues when a Dodge Charger drove through the area, then turned back around. Once the Charger drove back around, the person sitting in the passenger seat stuck a gun out the window and fired over a dozen shots from a fully automatic weapon into Isaiah's car. Isaiah was severely injured and rushed to the hospital, where he passed away days later at just the age of 28. The Charger then sped away. However, cell phone data would later place members of the Lowe's at the scene of the murder at the time it happened. A Lowe's member named Shannon Jackson was one of the people charged. Later in the year, they would commit another terrible murder. On November 6, 2023, at around 9:45 p.m., shots rang out on the 3300 block of DuPont Avenue North. A group of 3 men were shot, but one in particular, 20-year-old Antonio Harper, was struck multiple times and collapsed in the street. He was later pronounced dead at the hospital. Prosecutors alleged the killers arrived in a vehicle driven by a Lowe's member named Johan Lynch, with other Lowe's members opening fire on a group of Highs members. The 2 other Lowe's members with Johan that night were named Albert Lucas.
Am I tripping? Why like that nigga mustache? I mean, his beard look like it's like right here. He's like on his throat. Why is not on his
members? The 2 other Lowe's members with Johan that night were named Albert Lucas and Devont Moore, and they're believed to be the other gunmen in this incident. Under a month later, they would accidentally kill one of their own members during a wild shootout. On December 3, 2023, Damari Douglas, Devont Moore, and 4 other Lowe's members attended a party in Minneapolis. After leaving the party, the group was walking down a street when they began firing at a passing vehicle that drove past them on Grand Avenue South. During the shooting, one of them accidentally shot one of their own members, a 20-year-old man.
Goofy. Goofy of the year. You shot your own homie. You shot your own homie, my boy.
Named Tyshawn Lyons. Surveillance footage allegedly shows Devont and Damari standing behind Lyons as they fired among the group. Tyshawn is seen on the video collapsing to the ground at the moment he comes between Damari and the SUV. Police responding to the scene found Tyshawn shot in the back of the head. He was taken to Hennepin County Medical Center for treatment, but died 3 days later. Both Devont and Damari were...
Why? Okay. Why is your homie in front of you when you finna shoot? Why you ain't go up to the person? Or why you ain't walk that person down? Or why you ain't tell your homie to move out the way? Like, you shot your own partner, bro.
Charged with this friendly fire murder. On February 27, 2024, A 34-year-old man named Pierre Miller was amongst a group of people near the 800 block of East Franklin Avenue when multiple gunmen pulled up and opened fire. 3 people, including Pierre, were hit by gunfire. Pierre sadly passed away from his injuries, while the 2 other victims survived. Those members, Albert Lucas, Victor Collins, and Antonio Timberlake, would ultimately get charged with this murder. With this ruthless killing spree going on and creating havoc across Minneapolis, the feds would eventually come knocking.
Hell yeah.
For years, investigators quietly pieced the puzzle together. Ballistics linked shell casings from one crime scene to another. Stolen cars used in drive-bys were traced back to gang members. Cell phone records showed the same defendants circling murder scenes at the exact moment shots were fired.
Then y'all bring y'all phone, y'all bring y'all personal cars, y'all bringing, like, when you finna go slide on the ops, why do you need your phone for? What do you need a phone for if you finna go slide on the ops, bro? Why?
To law enforcement, these weren't isolated shootings anymore. There were threads in a single violent web. On October 30th, 2024, federal prosecutors finally made their move. In a sweeping indictment, 11 alleged members of the Lowe's were charged under the RICO Act. Less than a year later, on August 26, 2025, the case grew even larger. A superseding indictment added 3 more defendants and tied the crew to 10 murders committed between 2021 and 2024. For those charged, the stakes couldn't be higher. If convicted, many face mandatory life sentences. Please stay out of the streets. It's not worth your life or freedom. RIP to everyone that...
Man, you can't tell these niggas to stop being in the streets or it's not worth their life. They not gonna listen, bro. You can offer these niggas $1 million to stay out the streets. These niggas